It's a June 6, 2024. It's a historic day of D-Day. I want to ask you later, a little bit later about what D-Day means here, okay? And I am in the Belfast, United Kingdom, and it's a very historic and beautiful museum of Ulster, Royal Ulster Rifle Regiment, and it's about the Museum of RUR. So I want to ask you about that too later. My name is Jong-woo Han. I am the president of Korean War Legacy Foundation, which has more than 1,600 Korean War veterans interviewed in depth, on average about 30 minutes from all 22 United Nations that fought for the Korea in 1950 to 53. We are doing this to preserve your memory, first of all, because it's going to be 75th anniversary by 2025 next year. And we want to honor your service and sacrifice. But at the same time, we want to be able to use this interview so that we can let our history teachers to use in their classroom when they're talking about the Korean War. Why? Because the Korean War is still known as forgotten war.
Exactly.
And there are only one paragraphs in American history textbook about the Korean War. It's not fair. That's why we are doing this. And it is funded by the Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs. So we are going to use this interview to make curricular resources for the history teachers all over the world so that they know about who you are and why were you there and what did you do, okay?
Yes.
It's my great honor and pleasure to meet you, sir, and thank you for coming to this gorgeous historic museum of RUR. What is your name, sir?
My name is Albert Robert Morrow.
Could you spell it?
Albert Robert Morrow.
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 Can I call you Albert?
Yeah, yeah.
Great. By the way, you look great with your hat. What do you call that hat?
Corbeen.
Could you spell it?
Caubeen. It's an Irish name.
Irish name. Why Corbin?
I couldn't tell you, but it goes down in history, you know.
That looks great. I wish I can have one.
You get one in the museum.
So, when were you born? What is your birthday?
9th of January, 1928.
1928? 28?
1928.
So, you were born a year before the Great Depression?
Yes.
Wow, so that means how old are you?
96 years of age.
96-year-old. What is the secret that makes you so young?
Well, I used to be very fit in my young days, and especially when I was in the army. I always kept myself very fit.
What do you eat?
Just a normal, everyday food, you know. Irish stew and porridge.
Porridge?
Porridge.
I see. That might be the secret.
Yeah, the porridge, definitely.
Yeah. Where were you born?
In Belfast.
Belfast, right here?
Yes.
So tell me about your family background when you were growing up, your parents and your siblings. How many siblings did you have?
One brother.
One brother?
One brother.
Older or younger?
Older, yeah.
And so what did your father do?
He was a painter and decorator.
Excellent. And tell me about your educational background. What kind of school did you go through here in Belfast?
Well, we went through, I lived in Bangor all my life. We went through normal kindergarten, you know, and gradually grew up onto the larger school sort of thing.
Do you remember when you graduated high school, for example?
No, there was no such a thing at that time, graduation at high school.
Oh.
It just didn't exist. No.
So when was the last year that you had done with the school?
When I was 14.
14? And then after that, 14 years old, what did you do?
Well, when I was 14, I was left school. I got a job as a message boy.
Message boy?
Message boy for the cooperative on a carrier bike, and we used to do the butchery department, and I used to go around delivering to the customers their orders of food, you know. And then also, after that, I worked for a milkman, and I used to do go the carrier bike with taking around the milk.
Milk. So, did you run or did you bike?
Oh, I had a bike. Oh, yes.
Bike.
I had a bike.
Ah.
They call it a carrier bike.
I see. So, when did you join the military then, and why?
Well, having said that, why I did I join the military? When I was young, we had an army cadet force at the school. And we just did pieces of training and go to camp, a fortnight's camp.
Yeah.
And then when we got older, I decided to join the army. And I joined in Belfast in 1950. I joined the Royal Ulster Rifles.
So you joined the RUR
In 1950.
1950. What month?
I think it was January.
January. And let me ask this question. Up to that moment, okay, by the time that you joined RUR, did you know anything about Korea?
No. I definitely did not. I could tell you a story about that if you want.
Please.
Well, when every Wednesday we had a parade. I was in headquarter company, and you had A, B, C, D, and HQ company. I was in headquarters, and every certain day of the month you had a parade, and the company sergeant major went around with the book with all your details on it to check that you had the right weapon. But having said that, when it was over, he said, the commanding officer wants to speak to you. So the Major May, they called him, and he came out and said, you were going to Khartoum, you're now going to Korea. And everybody looked at everybody. Where was that? But having said that, when the papers come out, we certainly found out where it was. Mm-hmm.
So you didn't learn anything about Korean history, Korean geography in the map?
Not a thing, no.
Not a thing?
Not a thing.
And now you are Korean War veteran?
Yes.
Very proud?
Oh yes, definitely.
What happened to you then? You didn't know nothing about Korea.
No.
Now you are one of the most proud Korean War veterans from the United Kingdom.
Yeah. So when that happened, we were sent on embarkation leave.
Yeah.
You got 14 days embarkation leave, prior to going abroad. But when we come back, we had to organise the transport. So we were issued with reconditioned vehicles and extra weapons and different things, and we had to transfer them to the ships that was taking them out to Korea.
So when did you know that there was a war in Korea?
That day that the colonel said to us, you're going to Korea.
When was it?
I think it was September.
September? You have a brilliant memory. 96-year-old man, and you still remember all those days?
Oh, yes. So anyway, we had to get all new vehicles, naturally, to take out, and more weapons and different things. And that took a lot of organisation. But when everything was finished, they took them to the ships that was going to transfer them abroad. And however, on midnight, on the 1st of October, 1950, we boarded a special train.
When was it?
The 1st of October 1950. And we went overnight to Liverpool docks, where the ship was. And when we got there, I think it was about 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 a.m. in the morning. And lo and behold, all the dignitaries was there to see us off, including one of the famous men was called a General Steele, Jasper Steele. And they had the military band there, what have you, playing, and all the different speeches. However, we set off down the Mersey. The River Mersey is the famous river in Liverpool, and our pipe band was on board, and they played us out down the river, sort of thing.
What was the name of ship?
Empire Pride. But I can assure you it was no pride. It was a terrible ship. The reason being was, the normal troop ships have bunk beds, maybe 3 tier, you know. On this particular, it was hammocks. And in the corner where I would sleep, there we established them there for all the hammocks. So I put the hammock up on trying to get into bed, and it fell on the ground. And I said, that's it. So I had to just sleep down on the ground, on the steel, you know. But having said that, when we get through the, what do they call it? Oh dear, I forget the name, but the channel you go through.
Suez Canal?
The Suez Canal. But no, before we hit the Suez Canal.
Bay of Biscay?
Bay of Biscay, yeah. Now if you know the history of the Bay of Biscay, it can be very rough. I can assure you it was rough. But just had to sleep on the deck. But when we got through the Bay of Biscay, the temperature rose, and I slept upstairs. Mm-hmm. The only thing was, the Lascars, I think they were labourers, coloured labourers on the ship, and they come round at 5 a.m. or even before in the morning with hoses to clean the decks. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, if you didn't get up, that was your fault, you know. So consequently, you got up out of it.
So you didn't like that ship at all?
No, because of the sleeping accommodation was terrible. And not only that, they had a canteen and a small square opening where a window had been, and you got 2 beers a night, and that was it, sort of thing, you know.
2 beers a night?
2 beers a night.
You had enough.
We had to buy it. You didn't get it free.
Was it Guinness?
No, well, I couldn't tell you because I didn't drink.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't drink.
Got it. So before we talking about, you know, journey to Korea.
Yeah.
So you joined the RUR in September, and then how long was your preparation for?
Well, after we come back from leave, it took about 2 weeks to get all the vehicles and all the different weapons and what have you, and everything up to date for what we were going to proceed to, you know.
So what was your unit?
1st Battalion Royal Ulster Rifles.
1st Battalion?
Royal Ulster Rifles.
Mm-hmm.
And brackets 83rd and 86 afoot.
And what was your specialty at the time?
I was a Lance Corporal. I was an ambulance driver. Now, having said that, in the army, as you know, they have all their own medical services and their ambulances. But on this particular occasion, the 3 infantry regiments who were going out to Korea got an individual ambulance each, and I was nominated for mine.
From the beginning?
From the beginning.
Why?
Well, to cut a long story short, I think the motor transport officer said to me in the office, I've detailed all the other ambulance, all the vehicles, I forgot about you. And he says, the only thing is the ambulance. He says, well, somebody's got to, he says, it's a dangerous job. He says, well, somebody's got to do it. And that was it.
But did you have a license?
Yeah.
Were you able to drive before?
Oh, yes. Oh,
was that because you were a messenger? No?
No, you start off as an infantry soldier and do your training.
Ah.
You know, and then, well, I could drive since I was 12-year-old, you know.
How come?
Well, just used to go in with the milkman, and he let me drive. You know.
12-year-old boy?
12, yes, indeed, yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's dangerous.
But that's how I got my experience.
Okay, and so when you decide to, you didn't decide, you were ordered to go to Korea.
Yeah.
And when you told your parents, what do they react?
Well, they didn't know anything. People in Northern Ireland and probably England didn't know much about Korea, you know.
Right. But you are going to the war, and your parents, were they afraid or?
No, see, nobody knows what was Korea. They had never heard of it, you know, or what was going on, you know.
But it was war.
It was war. But having said that, when we were on the ship, used to give the Tannoy news every day, and when they were talking, they reckoned by the time we got to Korea, the war would be over. Oh, yes. But,
no.
Yes, it did. But when we got there, we found out different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, tell me, how many soldiers were in the Empire Pride?
1,000. But my estimation was...
How many?
1,001. The one being the commanding officer.
1,001.
1,001.
Oh. So, from Suez Canal, where did you go?
To Colombo.
Colombo. Yeah.
Now, having said that, the mission to seamen have a canteen there, for the merchant navy, and we went ashore to get a meal and tea. Now, having said that, too, best cup of tea I ever had. The reason being, if you know the history of Ceylon,
yeah.
it's tea makers.
Yep.
And I'm not kidding you, I never perfect. Now, when we went to the Seamen's Mission, rationing was on in the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland, and you could get to send tea home to your parents, and which I did do. And what it was, if you know, I'm sure you have the tea chest, a certain size. Once you look at it, you know it's a tea chest. But they had miniatures made, and they sent them home. And when I come home after Korea, the thing was still there. What had happened was they'd opened it up and used the tea, but the tea was in a box inside, and there was a package of tea round about it, and they were using that first until they actually found the tea, the little tea bag itself, you know. But I never forget that, you know.
So from Liverpool to Korea, how long did it take?
Left on the 1st of October and the 5th of November.
So took a month.
Yep.
Where did you arrive in Korea?
In Seoul.
Seoul? But no, Busan?
Oh, sorry, Busan, wasn't it?
Yeah. So now it's important question.
Yes.
Just tell me honestly, what was the image of Busan and Korea for the first time?
Well, first of all, let me detail this. When we arrived there, as the ship pulled in to dock,
Yeah.
there was this military band, all coloured gentlemen of the American Army,
Yep.
all big, tall men, and they played the whole thing there. And it was absolutely terrific. I never forget it, you know, the reception. Now, having said that, apparently when the troops got off the ship, the children were there with buckets of apples for them. We had to stay on the ship because our boat came in the next day to bring the vehicles in. And they started unloading our vehicles. Now, what happened was we have what we call a tack wagon. Carries, you know, like spare batteries, plugs or points or whatever, you know, to repair things. And one of the horses either slipped or broke, and the Bedford hit the ground and wrecked the cab.
Oh.
And the sergeant and his helper had to drive around Korea in the snow with their coats on and their carbines on and their collars up and that, so till they got a replacement vehicle, you know.
So
So I just explained that's the windscreen of it, wasn't it?
The windscreen had got it, yeah.
Explain that again, because I don't think that was quite clear.
can you explain it again?
Yeah, the windscreen in the cab, you know, was just virtually wrecked, you know. But they were able to drive it on such times as they got. As I say, they were driving around with the snow. It must have been terrible for them.
So from Busan, where did you go?
I'm not quite sure on that.
But did you drive the ambulance? No.
Pardon?
You didn't drive the ambulance?
Oh yes, oh yes.
From Busan?
Oh yes.
From...
That was my transport from beginning to end.
So you were able to travel from Busan to the front line?
Front line, yes.
Tell me about Korea you saw at the time that while you were driving up to the north.
On this particular occasion, this is our first time up, and we got the order we were going to go north.
Yeah.
Right? So the troops marched to the railhead at midnight, I think it was about midnight, and we came by road. Now, we drove all night, and apparently the colour sergeant is the guy that feeds the men. You know, each company has a colour sergeant, and he's the caterer. And at times he would get, when the train was delayed, he would try and raise a cup of tea or a meal or something for them. Sometimes they got away with it, and sometimes they didn't. But anyway, when we got there to Pyongyang, we didn't go right into Pyongyang at this particular time. When we stopped at this area, it was all wide open country. There was not a tree, not a bit of grass, nothing. As far as I could see, nothing. You couldn't even see the horizon. It was that far. And I say there was about 10 to 15 men there to meet us. So I was told to pull in to the right of this paddy field. No, sorry. Before that, they told me, when we got there, this guy jumped out of the truck in front of us. I'd like you to get this down. In front of us. And he had a Sten gun. Now, if you know, a Sten gun's a very dangerous weapon. And these were in its infancy. It's not so sophisticated safety catch as it is now. And when he got out, instead of letting the tailboard down for him and what have you, he jumped out over the back of the tailboard with a Sten gun in his hand. The butt of the Sten gun hit the ground. The working parts went back, and bang, he was shot through the neck.
Oh.
Instantly.
So you saw that.
I absolutely saw it. Yeah.
What did you feel by that time?
Well, terrible, absolutely.
Were you afraid?
I mean, not only that, that was the first thing. I was told to pull into the right in this paddy field. And as I said, there was nothing, foliage, nothing. Beautiful white, crisp snow. Suddenly, the bugle went. You know, the bugle.
Bugle.
I looked at my watch. 6:30 in the morning. Reveille. The whole ground erupted. The battalion had been lying there, waiting on us coming, and it snowed on them. And we didn't see them. And they just... And I'd say it before, I never saw it like it.
You already mentioned about Pyongyang, which is North Korean capital
Yes.
at the time. And still, you went through Seoul, right? Mm-hmm. How was Seoul? Tell me the details about how the city was, how the people, what was your image of Seoul at the time?
Well, to be quite honest, it wasn't good because you saw the peasants, and they were peasants then, with their A-frames, which you would know, and their packs on their heads and what have you, and they were going across the Han River Bridge to get away from the enemy, you know.
How was the Han Bridge? Was it almost destroyed or what happened?
No, that took you over. Two of them would take you over and wanted to bring you back. It was a marvellous thing, because you know all the bridges in Korean were blown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now, have you been back to Korea after the war?
Yes, I have.
When?
What was it?
2013.
13 and 15.
You've been to Korea twice?
Twice.
I think it's 2013 and 2018.
18. 2013 and 2018. By the way, the person who just spoke is Catherine Charlie. And she is the daughter of former Korean War veterans.
Colonel Charlie.
Yeah, Colonel Charlie. And she's arranging all these things. So I want to thank, and I will ask her to join you later, okay?
Yes.
And please jump in anytime that we need to be fixed. So, you went to Korea again 2013 and 2018.
Yes.
Now you have a very unique position and perspective to compare
Exactly.
the Korea that you
Yes.
saw in 1950 and
Very
51
much so, yes.
and 21st century.
Yes.
Tell me the details. Why? Because students doesn't know. Tell me the details.
Yes, I can tell. I couldn't believe my eyes. I absolutely couldn't believe it. It's so modern. Everything worked, you know, everything was in place. Absolutely utopia.
Utopia.
Utopia. No doubt about it. When we went there, it was desolate. Absolutely. Those poor people, what they went through, you know, getting away from the enemy. But it was really, really, really good. Not only that, we were well looked after by the veterans there, and we stayed in the best hotel, and we were allocated coaches. And on that coach, you stayed on that coach every day. And not only that, when you went out to the various locations where we had been fighting before, you had a police escort on the front, and you had an ambulance behind, and on board you had a nurse and a doctor with all their equipment to make sure everybody was safe.
Isn't that nice?
Absolutely.
But when did you leave Korea during the war?
I can't remember the date, but we went from there to Hong Kong.
But when 1951, right?
51, yeah.
And what month was it?
I'm not quite sure now, I'm not sure. But
Was it summer?
well, it was summer going to Korea.
How long did you stay in Korea?
We just did the winter.
How many?
You went in the winter and come out in the autumn. That was it.
Right, so you arrived in Busan November 1st
Yes.
of 1950.
Yes.
And since then, how many months did you stay in
Well,
Korea?
when the spring came, that was it.
Spring.
I think he left, was it July 1951 the battalion left?
I can't remember that. I know it was the spring.
Well, I think because you were at the Battle of Injin as well. And then,
That's right. So, yes, around July. When you left Korea in July of 1951, had you ever imagined that Korea would become like this today that you saw in 2013 and 2018?
Oh, absolutely not. I never saw anything so modern in my life.
Why? Why did you think that Korea wouldn't become like this?
Because it was so desolate and the way the people... Now, I know a bit of history about the Korea, about the way they kept them, wasn't the Chinese kept them down.
Yeah?
Not only that, they had the men down the mine, the men working down the mines. And sometimes the men died there. But having said that, when the Chinese got what we call R&R, recreation leave,
Yeah.
they were coming into Hong Kong and they were on drugs or drink, and they abused the women. Now, I've been on this a few times on the programs, and why China wouldn't give them compensation. But I found out later that Korea themselves give them compensation.
Albert,
So-
you're not talking about Japan.
Yeah, R&R. Did you go to Hong Kong for R&R or did you go to Japan?
We went to Japan.
Japan, right? So it's not Hong Kong. And
Oh, no, not Hong Kong, no.
No.
Hong Kong, when we cleared.
when you were, yeah. So you never imagined that Korea would become like this today?
Absolutely. You couldn't believe it. I mean, it was so desolate. You know, the people had been kept down over the years by the enemy.
So when you revisit Korea in 2013, did you go to Busan?
Oh, yes.
Tell me about Busan. Compare it. When you arrived in 1950 and the Busan in 2013 and 18. Tell me.
Well, 13, it was hard to believe. It was so modern. It was ultra modern, put it that way. Everything worked, the facilities was absolutely good. And the hotel we stayed in, absolutely marvellous. The way we were looked after. I said about the coaches. Everyone went to the different battlegrounds. You were escorted by the police and the medical people on board and the ambulance behind, you know. They couldn't do enough for you.
Better than Belfast, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, Belfast wasn't a nice place to be at that time.
Do you know the rank of Korean economy in the world economy now?
To be quite honest, I didn't know, but I just seem to have forgot about it because I take a great interest in Korea, believe you me. Anytime I have the television on there, know about Korea, it's on, you know.
It's a number 10 in the world.
That's right. You're-
Right behind the United Kingdom.
That's right, that's correct.
Can you believe that?
Oh, yes.
It's a small country.
I know.
Very small country. Everything devastated after the war.
Yeah.
But now they are the 10th largest economy.
It's not a bit of
What do you
wonder.
think? What do you think?
What do I think? It's not a bit of wonder because you look at what they have achieved with their vehicles, their electronics, Samsung and different things. My goodness, nobody ever visualised that would take off like that, you know. And you say the 10th, no doubt they're the 10th in the world, all right.
Yeah. Maybe they can catching up with the United Kingdom some year soon.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. They're progressing all the time. Not only that, what I find, in Korea, they have a great educational system. You know, and I remember we were driving about, you'd see you ever heard the Lollipop Man? No, the Lollipop Man, we call it, he directs the children across the road. Make sure of that, you know. But the children are well looked after, you know. But as I said many times in speeches, in Korea was education.
Wow, you know everything.
I know something.
I cannot believe 96-year-old Korean War veteran remembering everying like this.
Well, you couldn't forget it because, as I said before, absolute devastation. Couldn't believe it, you know. And now look at it now.
But Albert, such a beautiful outcome out of the Korean War.
Yes.
Right? You served there and you risked your life and many UK soldiers killed
Yes.
in action.
Yes.
Now Korea is number 10 in the world in world economy, but still it's been known as forgotten war and we don't teach much about in the classroom.
No,
Why is that?
Well, I couldn't say. Just have other things to worry about, the economy, what have you.
See, that's why we are doing this. I want young students all over the world listen from you about Korea in 1950 that you saw and the Korea you revisited in 2013 and 2018.
Outstanding, absolutely outstanding.
Yeah. Such a beautiful thing came out of the Korean War
Absolutely.
and that is your legacy.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Right?
Absolutely.
So you told me that you were a driver of ambulance. What kind of ambulance was it?
It was in Austin. Now, if you want a bit of history, I don't know if you watch films or not, but there used to be a film, Ice Cold, what they call Ice Cold and Alex. Alex is Alexander. And John Mills, I'm sure you only heard John Mills, the famous actor, he was in the film. And it's the same vehicle, Austin.
Same vehicle.
The same vehicle.
I have your picture with the Korean children.
Yes,
Okay, so I want to give it to you and show it to the camera. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Is that the ambulance that you drove?
That is it exactly, yeah.
And there are children looking like Korean children, is that right?
That's right.
How did you meet them?
Well, naturally, we'd been in villages or whatever, and the children would come around, naturally the children are nosy, sort of thing, and we made friends with them. I used to play football with them. But not only that, the Arirang, that's how I found out about Arirang.
Arirang. You mean the Korean folk song?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I always remembered this song, and I'd love to get it published, However, I remember we were in Seoul in one of the hotels, and these two fellow and girl were playing the piano and banjo, and I didn't know the name of Arirang then. I called it Adidom, but having said that, when I went back to Korea the second time, now the first time when we got there, I want to emphasize this, you got a booklet, and all your details, timings, and what have you, is on it, and you keep to that. But the second time I went back, I got a booklet again, the same, all your timings, what you were going to do. At the back of it was 2 bars, a bar and a half of Arirang. And I said, that's what I wanted. Now, when we were in the, Catherine can tell you, in one of our big, what do they call it? The Watership Hall.
Oh yeah, the waterfront hall. And
Waterfront Hall, and we had every year, we have a remembrance conference, performance there. And lo and behold, the bandmaster, which I told him about, had wrote and got the whole script of Arirang and played it, and that was it. I was over the moon, I'm not kidding you.
So you still remember that?
Oh, I never forget it.
So did children teach you? Did children teach you Arirang?
Yes, we heard them singing, humming or singing that,
What was your thinking about their Korean children? How do they behave at the time?
Well, we played football with them, but I'll bring you one illustration one point, and we can produce a photograph, which you've got. When we were passing through somewhere, we were always on the move. I don't know where we were, but it must have been a village or something. But anyway, the people come around, children come around us, and all of a sudden, this young fella come up to me on the ambulance. I was standing outside on the picture, and he says, could I take your photograph? Well, what impressed him about this young fella, he was very well mannered, and he was very well dressed.
Were you able to speak in English?
Oh yeah, perfect English.
Are you kidding me?
No. Oh, absolutely. And he, as I say, he was well dressed and well educated.
Korean boy.
Korean boy. He must have been about 14 or 15 years of age.
Yeah,
there you are. That's a Polaroid camera. That's a reproduction.
He took that photograph.
So this is the
That's it.
Polaroid picture.
No, that's not it.
Copy of the Polaroid.
I have
Okay,
the Polaroid picture still at home. I meant to bring it with me to give to you, you know. And what I would like you to do, and maybe you could, and maybe you couldn't, to trace this person. You know, I'm sure it could be done.
I mean, if you have any information, because did you take the picture with him? No.
He took the picture, but I was sorry that I didn't get him to take a picture of him and I together and put his address on it.
All right. So, wow, that's a kind of surprise because that was during the war, and he had this Polaroid camera
He had indeed.
and was able to speak in English.
Perfect English, fluent.
Wow. Wow. It's true, right?
Yes.
It's hard to
I say,
believe.
I've still got an actual photograph in one of my diaries at home. I meant to bring it with me.
Please make sure that I get it, okay, before I leave.
Yep.
So tell me about your battle, your service. What did you do actually, and what was your main mission? And how was the ambulance? Did that ambulance called Roston, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did that have real good equipment inside? What kind of? Please explain about the ambulance.
Well, I used to take the walking wounded to the medical centre, and then they were, wherever examined, they were transferred to Curie in Japan, you know, to get treatment and convalesce, you know. But there was one occasion I was detailed to pick a patient up, and it turned out it was a child.
Where was it, and where was it?
I couldn't tell you where it was. But
was it during the Happy Valley?
No. This was after Happy Valley and
After Happy Valley.
all that. It was more or less peaceful at that then. And I was detailed to take this patient to the clearance centre, and it turned out he was Chinese, and in a stretcher and put in the back of my ambulance.
Chinese soldier?
Oh yes, Chinese.
Okay.
Now this fellow was very badly wounded around the head. Now I went to the MRS Medical Reception Centre. MRC.
Where?
In Korea. I don't know where it was now.
Is it near Seoul?
Now, I couldn't tell you. You know I'm sure you've seen it.
Between Seoul and Incheon somewhere, because
Yeah.
you went from Happy Valley
And-
to Seoul and up to Incheon.
And also, what do they call it? MASH.
Mesh.
Right, and this was a MASH, Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. So I got him out out of the back of the ambulance. One guy in the front, no, sorry, I was at the front and one guy at the back. Took him into the tent. The next thing, the guy at the back just dropped the stretcher. And I blew a fuse, I can tell you. I didn't have to give off. That's no way to treat, regardless who he is or what he is. And I give them a big stick, I can assure you. I was disgusted. I never forget it. And that fella probably was dead even before he went in there.
So you were the driver, and did you have other soldiers helping you?
No.
In the ambulance?
At times I had, but this time I went down on my own. It wasn't far away to the Medical Repair Centre, Reception Centre, you know. Mm-hmm. But I'll never forget that. I think it was very callous and terrible what they did, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I was absolutely raging.
Tell me about the Happy Valley battle.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me?
Yes. Happy
You
Valley.
were there, right?
Oh yes, as Catherine told you there,
Yeah.
that the reason it was called Happy Valley was when you were there, you were either on 24-hour pack, cook for yourself for 24 hours, you got your box, American rations, everything was in the cigarettes.
Did you share the American ration?
Oh yes, you got this little carton, and everything was there that you needed. As a matter of fact, it was so much you couldn't even eat the whole lot. You know, it was so good. You know, and that's the way you had.
So you liked it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So what happened to the name of Happy Valley? Why Happy Valley?
Well, as Catherine said there earlier on, when we were there, we used to the packs, and you didn't get a proper cooked meal from the headquarters, you know. So when in Happy Valley, everything stood down and the cooks were able to set up. And not only that, when we were there at second time up to Pyongyang, the order went around that there was going to be a big attack, a mass attack on us. Not only us, other people as well. And it got around that they were going to blow this storage depot up at 1800 hours. Now, when I say stores, the Americans had everything. You name it, they had the best of stuff, not only weapons and food and what have you. So the colour sergeant is the guy that looks after the catering for each company. He's responsible for the rations and feeding them. So when they got wind of that, and including Catherine's father, he got a trailer and a jeep, and he went up to get stuff. And he got a load of stuff and brought it back. And this guy says to him, want a signature? And he said, Mickey Mouse. And lo and behold, the next day or so, the day after, this guy come back looking for Mickey Mouse.
So finally they were able to cook proper meal. That's
yes.
why it's been named as a Happy Belly.
Oh my goodness, you could smell the
What was it?
turkeys and steaks and what have you. Oh my goodness.
You had a steak
Oh yes.
during the war?
See, but the thing is, the Americans had articulated vehicles, and these were refrigerated vehicles. So consequently, they had the stuff on board.
So how did it cook?
Oh,
Medium rare?
you didn't care, no. It was good, I'm telling you. Absolutely.
So tell me about it. Was it dangerous to drive the ambulance?
Well, I never found it dangerous. Just had to drive us, hoping for the best, But I couldn't go to the front because I was only two-wheel drive. The Americans had issued the British.
So let's talk about the soft side of your service. Where did you sleep? What kind of food did you eat? Tell me.
Well, lucky enough, I slept in the ambulance. Only there was times, several times, that maybe men would be severe with frostbite. I would have to get out and give the bunks to them, and just go into a slit trench.
You didn't sleep all the time in the ambulance, did you?
Mostly, yes. But
mostly?
Sometimes you were taken out, maybe guys were sick and had to get into the ambulance, and I'd take their post, and you would sit there with a brain gun, and it was that cold and freezing. If you touched the brain gun, your hand would stick in the metal.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's how cold it was.
Mm-hmm. What about, did you get mostly American ration?
Yes, as you said, you got the wee pack, a wee little cardboard pack, and everything, and cigarettes, 20 cigarettes, and all the different things that you need.
No hot meal?
No hot meal. No, you cooked yourself. We had, on our belts, we had a water bottle, and on the water bottle was a cup, and you could use the cup as a saucepan. So, and we had special little burners, like firelighters, and there's no flame, it's just the heat comes off them, and you would be able to dig a hole in the wall so as not to chew it off, and cook yourself a cup of tea or whatever.
Were you able to take shower?
No, funny enough, we couldn't. No. Yes, you could, because the Royal Army Service Corps come out, special shower unit.
How often?
Well, it wasn't too often.
No.
What happens is that every so often they come out there and they set up a tent, a marquee, and that. But not only that. When spring arrived, I was able to go into the stream and have a good bath,
You mean the Imjin River?
Well, a river, and wouldn't necessarily be the Imjin.
Okay.
Probably miles away from it.
Whenever you find any stream, right?
Yes, indeed, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was the most difficult thing during your service in Korea? If I ask you to pinpoint only one thing that you feel terrible and difficult, what was it?
Well, that one I was telling you about when we had to go up the hill to collect those men who were hit by the mortar bomb. That was our detail. So you can imagine the other guys had to do the same to bring those. Quite a lot were killed, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So you must see so many dead soldiers.
No.
Not really? No?
Well, I've seen them, but not as many. Where I was, I couldn't go forward because the vehicle wouldn't go there. But our regiment was issued with American vehicles, which would take them with the four-wheel drive.
I see. Were you able to write letter back to your family?
Oh yes, you got a free envelope, and you could write it on and home free. Oh yes.
Do you still keep that letter?
Oh no.
No. Okay. So what were you given before you went to Korea?
Right, you went up to the colour sergeant's office and you got 3 string vests. Do you know string vests?
No.
You ever watch a television? What's his name?
Raspit, whatever.
The programme on television, this Scottish man, fisherman, and he always run around in a string vest. But anyway, we got string vests, and they're supposed to be the greatest things from potato bread, we call it. Potato bread here is a great delicacy, and we say it's better than the titty bread, you know. And you got a new pair of boots, dark brown boots, with special studs on them. They're more like a mountaineer to go, you know. Mm-hmm. And you got a face. Now you wear the face masks right now, but I noticed when we went to Korea there before we came to Britain, they were wearing face masks out there. We were given a face mask in a special little holder and a pair of goggles. The goggles were coloured, you know, because you imagine there was no roads, I said, in Korea, just the track, and you behind us in Churian tank and that, and the heat, and all the dust coming up. So you had to put on the mask and wear the goggles, you know. They also give you a cigarette lighter, and it's a famous, I forget the name of it now. Every man was issued one. You got a wee small 6x4 mirror, only stainless steel, you know, and you could use it as a mirror for shaving. You could also use it for signal for if you were on a hill and you want to give a signal to where you were, you could use that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was your rank at the time?
I was a lance corporal.
And how much were you paid at the time?
I was about 14 shillings a week.
14 shell?
Shillings.
Yeah, 14 shillings. Mm-hmm. What did you do with that money?
Just do your best with it. I didn't drink and didn't smoke, so I wasn't so bad.
You save it?
Well, yes, more or less.
Did you send the
not
money?
Only that, when you joined up, you could put it into the what they call a post office.
Yep.
And I used to put £2 a week out of my pay.
£2 a week.
Took away, you know, which meant I come out at a few pounds left. Mm-hmm. When I come out, I had a few pounds in the bank, sort of thing. So when I come back home to live in Bangor, I decided to go to Canada, and consequently I got a passport and everything, and went to a travel agent and went to go to Canada. Mm-hmm. While we were going across in the boat from Belfast to Liverpool, I thought to myself, what am I doing here? The next morning I said, I'm going to turn back. But on the ship I met this fella, roughly my own age, and his father, and they were going to Toronto too. So I clubbed in with them, and I went, and we got there, and we got various terrible digs, you know, sleeping. Where would you sleep? But eventually I got a good job in this aircraft factory, you know, making fighter planes for the Canadian government. But I only stuck it 6 months because I was on my own, more or less, you know, and I just come back. But having said that, I joined the Territorial Army. If you know about the Territorial.
No.
Well, I 16 years, 9 years in the Territorial Army. Sorry, 6 years in the regiment when we were Korean that. Then I come out and I joined the TA, and I was 16 years in that. And then I got transferred to Queen's University Officers Training Corps. I was in charge of transport, and I did 9 years until a computer ruled me out, you know, age limit.
Very good. Very good. Any other story that you remember you haven't shared yet?
No.
Any other story?
No.
No?
Sorry, you should go next.
So tell me, did you have a winter jacket or proper clothes for the winter?
Not at that time we didn't. All you got was, as I said, the boots and the face mask and what have you, and the cigarette lighter.
That's it?
No. And you got a camouflage smock and trousers, windproofed. And you also got a snowsuit. You know, the white tops and bottom and the things we had. That's what you got, yeah.
Got it.
But I haven't said that. As time progressed, they brought in better outfits, warmer clothing for us.
So looking back all those years, you said that you didn't know nothing about Korea.
Absolutely no.
No. And now, but you went back to Korea twice and you know everything about Korea. Not everything, but you know how Korea is advanced.
Absolutely. What a place, you know. It's a great pity it's so far away for a holiday, you know, because when you look at the tourist maps, what have you, all the facilities that are there for tourists.
You told me when we had the tea together, you said that you once, the Padre, there was kind of religious service during the Christmas.
Yes,
tell me about
yes,
it.
that was Happy Valley. And when it was Christmas, yes, we were there and we moved out on New Year's Day, funny enough. And over the Christmas, the Padre got X number of men. We call volunteers, if you know what volunteers are, you and you. And they got their white snowsuits on and the thing. And telly lamp, the little telly lamps you blow up, and they went around singing carols and what have you. I never saw the sight like it. Absolutely.
Must have been really surreal because it was in the middle of war, right?
Yes.
But you were able to observe the Christmas with the carols and hymns.
Yes, we were. And on the 1st of January, we set off, I think I told you, we set off to source the enemy. And the commanding officer decided to send these Oxford carriers, Canadian track vehicles, very versatile, specially made for the carrier section of 10 men. And they went forward to find the enemy, and they found the villagers who told them, yes, they were here but had gone. And that was the start.
Next year will be 75th anniversary of the breakout of the Korean War. What would you say to the Korean people about it?
Well, what can I say? I can say I can never forget it. Never ever forget it, but what we went through, you know, because the winter was atrocious until we started getting better clothing. We weren't prepared for it at the start.
You don't regret?
Oh, no. Not only that, as I say about the clothing, you weren't allowed to wear shorts like you would in Hong Kong because of so many insects on the ground and that, and you didn't wear. You had to wear proper trousers. And
you said that you want to trace back to that boy who
I'd love to, yes.
Yeah. What would you say to him if he is alive?
I'd love to hear from him, you know, to correspond with him, you know. As I say, I've got the actual photograph. Those other ones are taken from it. But what impressed me most was his way he came up to me. He was so mannerly, you know, and well dressed in that. And he very polite. Could I take your photograph? You know, I'm sorry I didn't get a photograph of him and his address.
Thank you, Albert, for sharing all this story and your honorable service for the Korean people. And because of your service, there is Korea now.
It certainly is. And what a place, what a country. No doubt.
So on behalf of Korean nation, I want to thank you for your honorable service. And we are doing this interview especially in the Museum of RUR, Royal Ulster Rifle.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's a special day, D-Day, June 6th.
Exactly, yes.
Exactly. So, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Just one other thing.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I was going to say two things. One is you can talk about the D-Day link because of the ambulances coming into Bangor and things. You can talk about that and the school being taken over for wounded soldiers in Bangor. And also, Albert speaks a little bit of Korean. You might like to have that on.
Come up from me, Dad. 이리 오세요.
고맙습니다. 이리 오세요. You know the meaning, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But as Catherine was saying there, in Bangor, a lot of people don't know about it. You've heard about the invasion of Europe. Now, to put Hitler and what have you off the track, they had various places to consolidate masses of troops.
Yep.
Now Bangor, a lot of people don't know about this, they used to have army in Bangor town, the town hall is semicircular, and on the trees they used to have the same ambulance that I drove, an ambulance regiment. But anyway, I remember going down to the seafront on my bike, a push bike, and this hospital ship came in. I don't know if you've ever seen a hospital ship. Huge liner painted white and the Red Cross on it. And the ambulances, as you say in Bangor, were queuing up to bring off the wounded. Now, it's a small pier and you couldn't turn an ambulance down round it. So what they did was a temporary rollator, whatever you call it, put it on it, the men manually swung it round, patients in, gone, to this camp. Now, this camp was evacuated by the Americans who went to D-Day. I never told you that particular night. This friend of mine were coming from us out about 11 o'clock, and with the blackout there was no lights and that, for security. And we heard this funny noise. And when we got closer and seen them, it was the Americans heading for the docks. And instead of 4 abreast, like the British Army, there was 6 abreast. And there they were all down with the boots and made no noise. And they were going down, and that was the start of the invasion to Normandy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So today, the Western countries' leader, the Allied forces, they are meeting in Normandy and to talk about something on Ukraine too,
Yeah.
So this is the special historic day. It's my honor to meet you, and thank you for sharing your stories.
You're very welcome.
And thank you for your honorable service for the Korean nation.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.